Welcome back to the Pulse. Let's get down to the rest of our stories. Imagine living every day of your life in pain. From the neck right to the toe is the sharp, piercing feeling one endures to the day of death. That's the everyday experience of people living with sickle cell. As the world celebrates Sickle Cell Awareness Day, JoyNews' Jacqueline Johnson-Quay visited the Ghana Institute of Clinical Genetics, also known as the Sickle Cell Clinic, at the Korle Teaching Hospital, and reports the dilemma of one of the carriers of this chronic disease, Pearl Amwating. Here at the Sickle Cell unit of the Korle Teaching Hospital, Pearl has just been rushed in. She's having one of the most disturbing moments in the life of most sickle cell carriers, a crisis. She's going through severe pain. People like Pearl live through daily episodes of pain.
Well, I discovered I had sickle cell when I was in senior high school, so that's where everything began. Well, my parents knew, but my mom didn't inform me because apparently that was the reason why my dad had to leave. So I went to a school that was very, very cold in the Eastern region. So the place was very cold, so I was constantly getting crisis. I didn't know what exactly was going on until the doctor asked me to go for a test to check. So after the test came out and I got to know that I had sickle cell anemia. And I didn't know, at that point, I didn't know what was happening. So he took me to a psychologist who counseled me to accept that this is what's happening to me.
At school, sickle cell carriers have to deal with a lot of setbacks. Sometimes, when the weakening pain from sickle cell grips their bones, they are unable to concentrate in class. But not everyone in school understands their condition, so they often are tagged as lazy. Without regular checkups at the hospital, she cannot live a normal life like her age mates.
So it was quite difficult. My dormitory was on the 3rd floor. There are times people had to carry me to my dormitory. People had to help me wash and fetch water for me. It was difficult. At a point, I wanted to change schools because it was badly affecting my grade. I was in my final year and then I didn't want to leave because I wanted to just finish and then leave the school. But it was quite tough, and then people didn't accept it. They didn't understand what was happening, so it was very difficult to be in the boarding house. There were circumstances where people were always complaining that I was always falling sick, to the extent that they said I was using that as an excuse not to work, because anytime we're given work to do, they would say, Pearl is exempted, we are not supposed to do it. But then they come back and then they are like, so because of this, you are always using it as an excuse in class. And then it means the sense that some teachers feel like, you come to the class and hey, head is on the table. Why is your head on the table? I'm not well. You are always falling sick. So that's the comments you keep getting. And then even to the extent someone said that it was, I was being possessed by a demon because I was constantly falling sick, so I should seek God and it will be solved. So it went on for quite a long time. I really wanted to leave the school, but I wanted to finish as well.
This condition comes with a deep distorted perception, all because of abnormal red blood cells in the body. Dr. Wadi has been treating patients with the disease for over 3 years.
Sickle cell disease is basically a blood disease. It's inherited, that is, people receive it from their parents. People inherit a set of genes from either parent. So if you inherit the abnormal gene from your mother and your father, you end up with sickle cell disease. It is a disease of the red blood cells. Usually the red blood cells are supposed to be disc-shaped or donut-shaped. But in sickle cell disease, under certain conditions, they become like a crescent or a half moon shape. And these abnormal red blood cells are rigid and they stick together, and so they tend to block the blood vessels, and so they prevent adequate blood flow through the vessels, and that is what causes the symptoms that are associated with sickle cell disease. Sickle cell disease sufferers usually they go through a lot of pain, and it's not easy for them. They live a life usually of a lot of pain. Sickle cell disease also has a lot of complications apart from the pain. They have liver complications, kidney complications, heart complications, eye complications. They also have leg ulcers as well. So it's actually a difficult disease to live with. Our institute here is quite small. It's quite small. We don't really have the facilities to take care of the number of patients that we get. We don't really have adequate bed space. We don't run a 24-hour clinic, so we just see them on outpatient basis. Even those who come with emergencies, we manage and then they go home, or we refer if they are too sick to go home. So sometimes it's difficult. It's difficult, and we tend to see the same group of patients that we have coming. So you're part of their journey, you're part of their lives, and sometimes when they get complications along that line, it's difficult and it's really sad.
When people start dating with the ultimate aim of marriage, it is important that they check their sickle cell status. But this is something many people take for granted, only to suffer the frustrating consequence when they give birth to children who carry the sickle cell.
I wouldn't want my child to go through what I'm going through because it's quite painful. Sickle cell pain is very, very painful, and I wouldn't want her to. So with anyone I meet, I'll tell you that I am sickle cell anemic, and if you don't want to be with me, then you can go. But if you're understanding enough to stay with me, why not? But I tell you, I make you know that this is what I go through, the pain, what I do to relieve pain and everything. So I have taken it upon myself not to to go ahead and just not make an informed decision. I'm going to make an informed decision to marry someone who is AA because I am carrying the genotype SS.
The most important thing is any decision that you make is your decision. Nobody will tell you don't marry or marry. It's your decision. But we want you to make an informed decision where you know everything, and now you sit down and say, okay, I know everything, so this is what I want. When they come, we take them through what we call psychoeducation. We educate them about everything, then we allow both of them to make an informed decision.
Aside being in constant pain, sickle cell carriers live with fear of being stigmatized. Mary Kriampoma is a specialist psychologist who has seen a lot of clients who live life under the weight of stigma from friends, workmates, and society in general.
When it comes to living with sickle cell, it has a lot of psychosocial implications. So people living with sickle cell disease, it tends to impact on them a lot. One, because there's this, let me say, myth or misconception surrounding sickle cell that they die early, they are not marriageable materials, they can't give birth, they are always sick. That's the labeling. Because of that, it brings a whole new dimension to living with sickle cell, which is stigma. So all this misconception prevents them from really enjoying their life. Stigmatization prevents people from even knowing their status.
In Ghana, 25% of the population has sickle cell, and 15,000 of all babies born in a year. That's according to Professor Kweku Ohene Frimpong, president of the Sickle Cell Foundation of Ghana. Meet Dr. Sefako Bankas, a 28-year-old doctor and sickle carrier who has set up a non-profitable organization, Sickle Life Foundation, to create awareness of the disease.
There are many challenges with sickle cell disease, and apart from the physical things, as in the illness itself, the crises and admission, there are lots of issues that we face. So the recurrent admissions, for one, would make you miss school days, or in my case, work days, and then you'd have a lot of people complaining, assuming you are lazy. And then also, if you are in an institution where your output determines how much you earn, so that maybe when you are missing a number of days, it's deducted from your salary. Then you know that it's going to have an effect. And even for the students, if you are missing school days, then it means that you will not have as much information as your colleagues, or even you may have a crisis or fall sick during exams, so then it will affect your output. So we realize that a large number of sickle cell patients or persons living with sickle cell disease are a little behind in their academics. So Sickle Life is a health advocacy group. We focus on sickle cell disease specifically, and what we want to do is to educate the public about sickle cell disease, to empower them to make informed decisions about the condition. Based on everything we've told you about sickle cell disease, you realize that there's so much that sickle cell disease does to a person, their family, the society as a whole. But then we know that it's a disease that can be prevented. If you have adequate information about the condition, you are tested early, you know your genotype, and then when you meet somebody, you are able to make that informed decision that based on my genotype, I don't want to marry or have kids with somebody who has a genotype that we can have a child with sickle cell disease. Then you are empowered, you are informed, so then you can make a decision to prevent it. Other than that, other things that we do is that we provide information so that there are people who already have the condition and then they need to know some life skills. So what to do to prevent a crisis? Is it going to be healthy living? So avoidance, wearing warm clothes, eating healthy, a lot of hydration, drinking lots of water, preventing infections, going for reviews. So we provide social support for persons living with sickle cell disease so that it makes the journey a little smoother.
As the world marks Sickle Cell Awareness Day, the call is simple. Know your sickle cell status, make an informed decision, and stop stigmatization. Jacqueline Johnson-Quay's report for Joy News.